Hi, my name is Cathy Fussell, and I live here in Columbus, Georgia, in a converted cotton mill. I'm a quilter. I work in fiber arts. I come from a long line of women who sewed. Not everybody quilted, some of them did, but my mother was a great seamstress, my grandmother was a great seamstress, my aunts all sewed. One of my aunts made costumes for a dance company. Just almost every woman in Buena Vista, it seemed to me, sewed, and there was a lot of swapping of patterns and going together to buy fabric, and I just grew up in that environment, and I loved it. I have been a customer of Goodwill for many, many years, and I think that pretty much started when my kids were in high school and they wanted to go to Goodwill to find funky, crazy t-shirts. And I started noticing at some point the availability of fabrics that you just can't go into a regular fabric store and buy. For instance, plaids. Plaids were very popular when I was a little girl. My mother would make me plaid dresses. All the little girls, all your school dresses were just about plaids. But now, you're not going to find any plaids. You can find tons of prints, florals, tons of batiks, but not many plaids at all. So I just started buying men's shirts for the plaids. That was the first thing I did. And then later, I moved into other areas, and now when I go into a Goodwill, I have certain departments that I go to because I know what I'm looking for. This quilt right here on my design wall is made from Goodwill plaid shirts. It's one of 3 that I made out of Goodwill plaid shirts. The other 2 were, well, one was pictorial and one was a little more modernist in design. But this is the 3rd one I made, and it's a bed quilt. I don't always make bed quilts these days. Most of the time I make quilts to hang on the wall, but this is a bed quilt. And when my kids come to spend the night, or my grandkids, this is one they'll grab to use. I put a flannel back on it, and so it's real snuggly. I do feel bad about cutting up those nice shirts at Goodwill, though. I do. Every time I cut into one, but I save every little bit that I don't use. I'll show y'all my stash of cuffs and collars in there. Here are some of the plaid shirts that I used in my plaid. They're the remnants of the plaid shirts that I used. So I still have plaids that I can do something with, but I've made 3 quilts out of plaid shirts so far. And I cannot resist when I go to Goodwill, if I see a plaid that I think is just really nice, really pretty, and it's 100% cotton, I'll buy that shirt and put it in here in case I might want it later. One day I was just looking at some plaids, and I thought, you know, the bright spots on those plaids look like windows in high-rise buildings. So I went to Goodwill and looked at men's plaid shirts, thinking about a cityscape at night. This is the very first piece I made with plaid shirts from Goodwill, and it is a cityscape, and a woman out in Texas owns this one. This is the 2nd one I made, the more modernist one that I made with plaid shirts from Goodwill. I am deeply honored that my work is in a number of public collections, and I feel extremely lucky all the way around. I have 6 pieces in the David Koch Sloan Kettering Memorial Hospital in New York City. The Alabama Department of Archives and History acquired 2 of my quilts. The Columbus Museum has 2. Atlanta Public Art has 2 of my quilts. One of them hangs in the Roswell, Georgia Public Library, and the other one hangs in one of the libraries in Fulton County. Each year, the Congressional Club in Washington, D.C., one of their big projects every year is the First Lady's Luncheon. It's held in May every year in Washington, D.C., and it honors the First Lady. And it's a big to-do, a big social to-do with like 1,500 women dressed to the nines. So my friend Florine knew that Michelle Obama loved the work of Alma Thomas. She said, why don't we see if Cathy, who makes these quilts, will make a quilt for Michelle Obama inspired by the work of Alma Thomas. And after I fainted, I said yes. This is the Michelle Obama quilt draped over my old sofa. This is a print of the Alma Thomas painting that inspired this quilt. I feel very, very lucky that I have something to do with my time that I really love doing. And I am very happy. I feel almost like I'm in some sort of nirvana when I walk into my studio every day. I just love sewing and I love my studio. I feel sorry for people who don't have that. I feel really sorry for people who don't have something that they like to do and can do on a very regular basis. And if you go to Goodwill to source your fabrics, you can save a great amount of money, because yardage at any of the fabric stores is going to cost exponentially more than a shirt at Goodwill.